So initially, I did not even want to make a video on this game for two reasons mainly. Number one, I just don't think I'm the target audience of it. And number two, I genuinely have nothing good to say about it. In retrospect, I think my previous video on Recreation was a little harsh, because at least with Recreation there are a few good aspects that I forgot to mention in the video, mainly because I was just so disappointed with the game. But with this one, genuinely nothing is coming to mind. Like genuinely, I wanted to go into this one being a little bit more neutral, a bit more open-minded, and just highlight some of the positives a little bit more, but I got nothing. I can't. I actually got nothing. So what game is it that I'm talking about? It is Rennsport, which was already available for quite a while in early access for free. And now they basically came out with the game and slapped a $50 price tag on it. The thing is, I did play it a little bit while it was free and in early access, and I could already kind of tell that this was not really my kind of game. Like, first of all, I'm not super familiar with Sims, and if you're looking for any in-depth discussion on stuff like the physics and you know, the simulation aspects, this is not the video for you. I recommend you watch videos from I don't know, like Random Call Sign or Hoki Hoshi. I think those are both of those have way more experience than I have with Sims in general. So this video is probably less of a review and more of an opinion piece and a way for me to vent. Because I just I expected nothing and already knew that this is not a game for me necessarily, and I still came away from the experience like really pissed off. It's just there's so much wrong with this game that even a filthy casual like me just can see very blatantly. And quite frankly, it's a game for no one. It's a game that I would recommend to nobody, and it's something that I don't think anyone should buy. So if you have not heard, Rennsport is basically another sim racing game with a heavy focus on online multiplayer. And this was primarily the reason why I didn't even want to make a video on this. I didn't even want to check this out because it's just not a game for me. I'm primarily a single player casual racing gamer, I guess you could say. I do enjoy more realistic racing games, and I did dabble in a bunch of sims in the past, primarily Assetto Corsa and also a little bit of Automobilista too. Both of those I really enjoyed. You know, with this one being primarily online focus, I was like, maybe it's not for me, but I did hear that there is at least some single player content in there, so I was like, you know what, I'll check this out. And as soon as I booted up the game, it's a mess. When you first boot up the game, it's an absolute mess. The UI is completely cluttered. There's so much unnecessary information on the screen that you first have to just kind of filter out and move stuff around in the UI, which the fact that this is possible is cool, but the fact that I need to do the work that the developers should have done, which is to make a cohesive, easy to look at, easy to digest UI, is kind of ridiculous. And then the other thing is that, you know, I went into this with a controller, okay? And you could say, but you're not supposed to play Sims with a controller. You're not supposed to play... I do not care. If this game is available on a console, which it is, or on a PC, it should work with that system's default input device at least reasonably well. And so in this case, if I boot up a game, and in fact, when I started this game on Steam, it even explicitly told me to grab a controller for this game. And it does not work at all with the controller, and it feels just horrible to play with a controller. You have immediately lost 90% of the player base. A wheel, even on a sim, should only feel better, but not the only thing that feels good. Any racing game, no matter how far it leans into the sim space, should at least be reasonably playable with a controller, which this game just does not. It feels disgusting by default settings on the controller. So thankfully they do offer very intricate settings for the controller, so you can just kind of dial things in. And after spending some time experimenting with a few settings, I did eventually get to a point where I would say the game is at least now playable on a controller. You can at least get the car around the track and it doesn't feel completely horrible. But I would still not say that the handling was enjoyable at any point. It's still not a game that I would play for the handling. And that's not even just coming from me, a filthy casual with a controller. That is also coming from genuine sim enthusiasts that play it on a wheel. They just do not like how the cars feel at this game because they are just way too unruly, way more than they need to be. I think this is like a really common misconception with a lot of sim racing games. It's that the handling needs to be difficult. Otherwise, it's not realistic. When that's not how it works. Like these cars are purpose-built for like extremely good aerodynamics. They have fantastic grip. Yes, if you push them too hard in a corner, they will spin you out, and it is like fairly easy to do so with the amount of horsepower that they have. But even in corners where I gave like 10% throttle, I was still spinning out, which is ridiculous. So it's just a game that I don't think is enjoyable to drive in, if I'm going to be perfectly honest. Or at the very least, it is like average or below average when it comes to just like handling. And it's not something like, especially if you're someone on a controller, like I would not recommend this for the handling at any point. And then I also prefer playing with the chase camera because I feel like I get a better understanding of what's going on around me. So like even in a sim, I would usually try to at least opt in for a chase camera because I just get more information of what's around me. And the default chase camera, once again, also just feels terrible. Like, I don't know what they did and how they thought this is fine. So, once again, they thankfully give you the option to, like, tweak the settings for the chase camera. And it took me maybe, like, 2 to 3 minutes to make the camera look at least somewhat decent. Which makes me question why they couldn't just do this by default. If it takes me 2 minutes, why do I need to do this? But okay. Then I got the chase camera set up. The problem is that apparently every single car has its own chase camera settings. So the moment I switched to another car, all of the settings I just made got reset. And the camera is also different for each car. So you can't just copy over the same settings and just put in the same numbers. You have to adjust the chase camera on every single goddamn car individually to make sure it doesn't look like crap and makes you nauseous. Wild. Like, absolutely wild. And if you're playing on a controller, there's also even more issues with the controls themselves. So by default, there are double bindings. So for example, if you want to adjust the traction control setting mid-race, that does change the camera as well on top of it. So basically, if you want to lower the traction control setting with the D-pad, like by pressing D-pad left also changes the camera. But the arguably even bigger problem is that by default, if you play on automatic, you cannot rev the engine at the start. Like the game doesn't keep you in neutral at the start, but will automatically shift up, which could be fine if there was a dedicated clutch button, where I could hold down the clutch, rev the car, and then let go of the clutch the moment the lights turn green. The problem is, that's not possible. There is no clutch button. You cannot map the clutch to the controller. This is a sim, I want to point out. This is a sim racer. When it comes to the racing itself, it's fine. You have like a regular practice qualifying race format as you expect. And the AI is completely all over the place. I gotta be honest, like there was a race where I was like well ahead, even on the first lap from all the opponents. And then in another race, it was completely hopeless. Like, I feel like no matter how good I was driving, I was never gonna be able to catch up to any of the opponents. So, like, AI is completely all over the place. Needless to say, there are no difficulty options, because why would there be? Yeah, when it comes to, like, just the handling, the physics, the racing, it's just not fun. It's just straight up not enjoyable. And it's not like there's even anything to do in this game. So, there's, like, a very basic tournament championship mode that has you drive in like very like preset, pre-selected races. There's no room for player expression, player freedom, player choice. Forget about all that. It's the most basic system I've seen in games from like the 90s, like the early Need for Speeds. It's literally the same system. Like it has not evolved at all, and it's completely basic, and it's not fun or interesting or worth playing. But this kind of stuff I at least accepted and sort of expected, because as I said earlier, like this is a primarily online multiplayer focused game. So much so that they tried desperately to get into the esports space when the game wasn't even out. Like this is something I don't understand, why they tried to establish an esport for this game when like, first of all, racing game esports is already like extremely small and niche and extremely hard to get into, and they tried to already establish this game as an esport before it was out. Who do you expect to watch this? Like, if people don't even know the game, they don't have any connection with it, why should they watch an esport for it? Makes no sense. And so in that respect, yeah, you know, maybe I shouldn't have expected too much from the single player portion, but I think it is still kind of unacceptable. Because it's like, if you're gonna not do a good single player, why even bother make one at all? You know, it's kind of like if you go into a restaurant that offers both pizza and burger, and you order a burger that comes out completely undercooked with barely anything on it, I can still complain about it, because if you're gonna offer both pizza and burger, why make the burger so crap? Like, you can't just tell me, oh, you should have ordered a pizza instead. Like, no. If this game, like if Rennsport has a single player portion, I expect it to be at least decent. And as it is, it's completely underwhelming with, you know, a handling model on a pad that is borderline unplayable, where you need to basically do everything yourself. You need to basically do the game designer's job for them to just make sure everything works. Like, the HUD is digestible, the gamepad feels fine, the chase camera feels natural. You have to do all of that yourself, and even once you've done that, the experience is below average. It's like, I can't even call it mediocre. It's mostly bad. And I think this is like the main unfortunate thing, because this is exactly the kind of thing that we have been missing. Like, we already have so many, like, I want to even say that the sim racing market is completely oversaturated at this point. There's so many sims out there that I don't know what the point of Rennsport is. It doesn't even have like a unique car list or a unique track list. In fact, both the car list and track list are extremely small for the price that they're asking for. So the game does not offer a whole bunch of content. And the only thing that it does do is kind of well, I guess, like the online multiplayer. Other games have already done well enough in the past. So at this point, I just gotta question, like, what the point of this game is, right? Like, we're still missing a decent single player in a sim. Like, no sim to this day has done a really fantastic single player on the same level as, like, a Gran Turismo, for example. I think the only game that really attempted to do this in some kind of capacity was Project Cars 2. And since then, we've just not been getting any good single-player sims. And Rennsport did not even try to delivering a decent single-player. And this is the main thing that I'm looking for. And this is why initially I didn't even want to make a video on this, because I realized, like, okay, this game is just not for me. So why am I still making a video on this? I think the reason why I still decided to just kind of talk about this game and bring it up in a video is because there's so much garbage in this game. And this game in general, like, encapsulates everything that in my opinion is wrong with racing games at the moment. So let's just talk about, like, the first thing that I think is the most straightforward, that will not have any, like, defenders, I think. The in-game shop. So initially, this game was free. And if this game remained free to play, I would not complain about this. I would just be like, you know what? If that's how they want to monetize the game, whatever. At least the game is free. But this game is now 50 bucks. Okay? It costs 50 bucks. And it still has an in-game store where they sell, get this, liveries. Liveries. The one thing that pretty much any other game adds in content updates for free, or maybe even the community does for free with, like, in-game livery editors, that's what they are trying to sell you now. I just want to put this out there. The liveries that they have on offer, not only are there very little of them, like, there's in general very few liveries in the game, both the ones that you have, like, by default and the ones that you can buy, but for the most part, the ones that you can buy are so ugly. Like, who actually wants to buy these? Like, some of these liveries look disgusting and atrocious. It's not something that I would ever want to use in an online format, let alone even the single player, not even in the single player. Like, they look terrible. Some of them are even animated. Like, I just want to remind you, this is a sim racer, okay? Like, the point of a sim racer is to be authentic and realistic. And here you have these liveries that are literally animated. Like, you can pull this in a Need for Speed if you want to, but not a sim that tries to be authentic. Like, it is so, like, I just got a question, who even wants to buy this? Who's actually, like, who's the market for this? And on top of that, you have to buy these liveries with this, like, in-game currency that they came up with this fake currency. You can't just, like, you don't see any, like, actual prices in the store, but they have this, like, you know, in-game currency. And, you know, this is usually done to just kind of hide how expensive these liveries are. But if you actually, like, look into it and you try to buy some of this currency, you'll find out that each individual livery is, like, around 5 bucks. Like, that's 5 bucks for one single livery for one single car. What the hell? This game is 50 bucks. Like, this is not even remotely worth it. Not even close. It's gross. It's absolutely disgusting. And even without the store, even without deliveries, I gotta be honest, like, Rennsport to me represents every single thing that is currently going wrong with racing games. So we have a sim here that just released, that just came out, that does not offer anything new. There's no new racing classes. There's maybe like a few unique tracks that I saw, but I wasn't really enjoying them very much, if I'm being honest. But for the most part, a game that does not offer anything new or anything unique, anything that you can't already get in other sims. It mostly does almost everything worse. And on top of that, it just has zero soul. There's not even a single creative bone in this entire game. Like, there's zero creativity, zero innovation, none of it. This game has no soul anywhere. It is the most soulless, bland, I'm just gonna say this, sim slop type game I have ever seen. And this is, in my opinion, what is currently giving racing games such a bad rap. So I'm not sure, I'm gonna give like a very specific example. I'm not sure how many of you can relate. But whenever there's like a gaming announcement show, like an Xbox showcase or a PlayStation State of Play or whatever, I usually watch other streamers react to these shows. Like those are usually variety streamers that don't exclusively focus on racing games and just play like whatever. And every single time, whenever a racing game shows up, there's a collective eye roll from the streamer and also the chat. It's kind of like, oh, here's another racing game. Okay, whatever, just move on, you know. Like a collective disinterest in whatever is being shown the moment a car is on screen. I see this on so many streams. And I think it is because of games like Rennsport that this kind of crap happens. And this kind of thing has become so normal. It's because of these racing games that try nothing new, that are so like inherently uncreative and uninteresting, that don't attempt anything. And it doesn't even need to be like this. Like, even back in the day, like I remember, like, for example, GTA 2 was also a sim racing game of its time, but even that game managed to have like a cool, fresh art style that was like nice to look at, on top of a sim that was really solid, right? So I don't understand why we need all of these like sim racing games that are so sterile, so corporatized, that don't offer anything that I think even as a car guy, you have to find super uninteresting. So at the end of the day, I'm not sure who this game is for. It's certainly not for me, someone who likes to play single-player racing games on a pad. But I think even if you are someone on a wheel, is this something interesting to you? Was there anything that I showed here that looked fun or interesting that you weren't already able to get anywhere else? Especially considering that in 2 weeks' time, we have Project Motor Racing releasing, which is another sim that seems to offer a bold load more than this. Like, first of all, way more variety in terms of the cars and tracks, way more in general, but also attempts to kind of have a bit of a single-player portion on top of its multiplayer. So at least that game, I can accept, tries to do something new, tries to offer something, tries to stand out. We're gonna have to see how that pans out, obviously, once that game comes out. But at least with that game, I can see some idea, some ambition. Whereas when I look at Rennsport, I see nothing. Like, it is just slop. It is sim slop in its purest absolute form. And in my opinion, represents everything that's currently going wrong with racing games. So needless to say, I don't recommend this game to anybody. I don't recommend that you check out this game. I think the only good thing that it has going for it, if I would mention one thing, is that it's a cross-play between like consoles and PC. But I don't care. Like, if the game is so like bland and uninteresting and for the most part just kind of bad, who cares? Like, congratulations on doing the bare minimum in the year 2025. You have crossplay in the year 2025. Congratulations, I guess. Like, who cares? So yeah, stay away from Rennsport. I'm not gonna cover this in any capacity anymore. Quite frankly, I think the game is dead on arrival anyways. The game has very little players as we speak. It also sits at mostly negative reviews on Steam. So yeah, congratulations, I guess. it's just a complete waste of time and effort. Everything surrounding this game. So with that, I hope I can wrap up the negative reviews we had lately on this channel. I'm really looking forward now to Project Motor Racing, and I hope they just kind of like come out swinging and offer something worth buying, something worth playing. But it remains to be seen. For now, thanks for listening. I know this wasn't like a super comprehensive review, but I hope I could still like get my point across in some way. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care, take it easy, and as always, peace. See you guys.